So, last night I was listening to Canucks After Dark with Parker's Pucks and Clay Emu. Very great show. I plug these guys once in a while. But they had a conversation point on their program last night that I thought was so good and so amazing that I had to go out there and make a video about it myself too. Now, I'll acknowledge that a lot of the teams and stuff that we're talking about, they're all playing games later today. It's one of these packed days in the NHL tonight where you've got 13 games on the money, and look, a lot of these teams are going to be in action within the next few hours, so all of the stuff we talk about in this video can very much change by the time the night is over. But at the time of recording this audio, things are looking so good for the Vancouver Canucks because they have just received gift after gift after gift from each of these other teams in the Pacific Division. Now, looking at the standings, Canucks are tied for number 1 in the division with the Vegas Golden Knights. They each have 49 points. However, Vancouver has that in 2 fewer games played, so they have a better points percentage. If you go over to third overall, the LA Kings have 45 points in 33 games played, meaning that the Kings have themselves the highest point percentage by just a slight amount on Vancouver, .682 versus Vancouver's .681. This is because they had an overtime loss recently, which gave them an extra point and boosted their points percentage accordingly. However, if you go over to the remainder of the teams, you've got Seattle, Edmonton, and Calgary each hanging in there with 39, 37, and 35 points, and then the Ducks and the Sharks are there at the bottom. Now, for the most part, a lot of people would say, yeah, Vancouver, Vegas, LA, top 3 teams, these are going to be locked in, like, just put the key in there, lock it, and throw the key away. You know this is going to happen, right? Well, hold your horses a little bit. This is kind of why I wanted to make this video, because when it comes to the Canucks and their overall scheduling, you may notice now that Vancouver actually does have some games in hand over these top teams in the NHL. Go over to the overall points record. Vancouver has 1 game in hand on Colorado, who is underneath them. They've got 2 games in hand on Vegas, and they're hovering around the same-ish game played territory as other teams like Florida, Philadelphia, the Islanders. They're only really 1 game above teams like New York and Boston, which is a really good thing because normally I think a lot of Canucks fans are used to seeing the Canucks having so much more games played than everybody else. The fact that the Canucks only had 1 game in the past 2 weeks or whatever means that they had a lot of other teams going out there and catching up. Robert Camargo, thank you so much for your subscription. I appreciate that. It's popping up here on the Streamlabs Live as we're recording this video. But the thing you might not have realized about the rest of these Pacific Division teams outside of the Vancouver Canucks is that teams 2 to 4, Vegas, LA, Seattle, and Edmonton, are kind of doing exactly what Canucks fans should want them to be doing. Let's go over to the Seattle Kraken and their recent few games. Okay, let's check this out here. So, Wednesday, December 20th, 2-1 win in regulation against the LA Kings. That's really nice. Go over to the next game, 3-2 win against the Ducks. Next game, 2-1 win over the Flames. Then you had an overtime win over the Philadelphia Flyers, the same Flyers team that the Canucks ended up losing to. And then yesterday in the Winter Classic, 3-0 shutout against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Seattle Kraken have won 5 games in a row, and they've garnered 10 points against teams that they kind of need to be getting points against. Okay, not Philadelphia. Let's say 8 points they're getting against Pacific Division teams. So, regulation wins against LA and against Vegas. That's super good to see. Meanwhile, if you go over to the Edmonton Oilers, the other team that's right in there, the 5th overall team in the Pacific, Edmonton has won 5 games in a row, 6-3 against the Devils, 4-3 against the Rangers, 5-0 against the Sharks, 3-2 against LA, so there's another loss for the LA Kings, and then a 7-2 stomping against the Anaheim Ducks the day before New Year's. You have yourselves the other 2 teams here, the Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings. Guess what? They're starting to lose games now as well. 6-3 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes for the Vegas Golden Knights. 5-4 regulation loss against Tampa Bay. 4-2 regulation loss against Florida. 5-2 regulation loss against the Anaheim Ducks. They won a game against the LA Kings, but then they lost again, shutout, Winter Classic against the Seattle Kraken. The Vegas Golden Knights only have, 2 points in their last Okay, let's do the math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 possible points. They've only gotten 2 out of their last 12 possible. So the Vegas Golden Knights, after having such a stranglehold on the first overall spot in the Pacific, they're now behind Vancouver because of the games played and because of the points percentage here. They're down there after losing all these games, which is great for Vancouver. So if you go over it, pretty much, the Seattle Kraken and the Oilers, they're starting to win. They're on 5-game winning streaks. The Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings are both on losing streaks. I mean, look, the Vegas Golden Knights have only lost 1 in a row, but they're 4-6-0 in their last 10. You can't see the number because it's cut off on the screen here, but I can. The Vancouver Canucks, after winning all those games earlier on in the season, have such a pillow at top of this Pacific Division that it's almost like the best case scenario. These other Pacific Division teams are giving the Canucks gifts, and they needed this. If you wanted to lock down that first overall spot and ensure that you play off against a wildcard team, then Vancouver, this is kind of what they're doing right here. Seattle and Edmonton, I mean, they could force themselves into the wild card. It's only separated by 1 point each, pretty much. But, yeah, other than that, this is a really good set of numbers for what Vancouver has been greeted with. And it all starts because these other teams are getting a bunch of games in the midst of Vancouver not really playing much. Now, the Canucks are playing the Senators later tonight, and I'm not going to say that's an easy win. The Vancouver Canucks have struggled after long stretches of inactivity, which we had seen in the previous game against the Philadelphia Flyers, so we'll see how exactly they're able to come back from this New Year break, but other than that, the other Pacific Division teams are giving Canucks fans lots to cheer about, and as a result, if you go over to the Money Puck odds for playoffs, Vancouver has the highest percentage odds in the Pacific Division to winning the Stanley Cup with 7.7. Now, they're tied with Edmonton. I don't know how that's actually going to work out because the Oilers are a little bit down there, but still, Vancouver has the 4th highest odds at winning the Cup right now. They have the 3rd highest odds of making the playoffs and the highest in the Pacific Division. The Kings and the Golden Knights do not have high of a percentage as Vancouver in that respect. And look, this is just the chart from Tuesday, January 2nd. If you wanted to go to the chart from December 31st, Vancouver actually had the 3rd highest odds at winning the Cup just a few days ago on December 31st. So if you look at this chart published by Money Puck on December 31st, 5 a.m., Vancouver had the 3rd highest odds of winning the Cup, just behind the Carolina Hurricanes and the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado had a 10.3% chance, Carolina had an 8.4%, Vancouver had a 7.8%. So the Canucks are looking pretty good, statistically speaking. But of course, these are just statistically speaking numbers. You have to go out there and actually play the games, and you actually have to go out there and win. So for Vancouver, this is a pretty good step in the right direction. I'd say that when it comes to the standings, a lot of Canucks fans should be happy with the way the Kraken, the Oilers, the Kings, and the Vegas Golden Knights have been playing. Seattle and Edmonton are winning. LA and Vegas are losing. They're playing and winning points off of each other in regulation games, which is good. It all just paves the way more for Vancouver to take advantage of this opportunity. But of course, they still have to win the game, so nothing is guaranteed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks going out there and getting these gifts from the Oilers and the Golden Knights. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.